Happy holidays. Hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Back with you, episode 238 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Coming up in today's episode, we take a look at the playoff picture as it stands at this current moment in the NFL. Then in the home team report, we talk about the Chiefs' loss to the Dallas Cowboys and the Commanders' overtime loss to the Denver Broncos. That and wrapping it all up with the best segment on this Good to Average podcast, the Kirby on Sports PickEm. It all comes your way next, episode 238 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Welcoming you to episode 238 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. I'm your host, Josh Kirby. Thanks so much for tuning in, spending some time with us here on the Kirby on Sports podcast. We're on all listening platforms, all streaming platforms. Make sure you follow us, like, comment, subscribe, and give us a share wherever you are watching. Huge thanks to all of our sponsors, Frederick County Parks and Recreation, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate, Barrett, Pest, and Termite Services, Mark Lynch with Guild Mortgage, Shenandoah Music, Icon Media, On the Road Driving School, New Look Landscaping, The Cider House, Barry Pearson with Equipment Share Advanced Solutions at 540-935-1069. Don't forget, Don't Sleep Energy is the official energy drink of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Use promo code KOS Podcast for 12% off your order every single time. Let's get straight into it. We do not have Dan with us tonight, but we do have the Swiss Army knife, Carlos Martinez. Happy holidays. How was your Thanksgiving, brother?
No, it was good. The good meal, good family times. Obviously, none of us here are 2 o'clockers, so if you guys listened to the podcast last year, post Thanksgiving, we had that whole conversation. Dan is a 2 o'clocker, unfortunately, so won't be able to bash on him for that. But we had the meal at the proper time of 7 o'clock.
Yes, I had sort of a late meal before I had to go in, dog sit, all that, plus waking up early to work the race as I do every year, and all that combined with some football in between. So it was a lot of fun. We'll get into those matchups a little bit later, but it's the holiday season, which means December. The conversation is starting to pick up, Carlos, when it pertains to the playoffs, the playoff picture, and just devoting this first part about talking about the playoff picture. And boy, what a different looking playoff picture than from a year ago. A lot of different teams, and I kind of like this. You see a lot of different teams who you may have not have thought would be in the mix. So we have it pulled up here right now, courtesy of Carlos. And the 2 number 1 seeds, the New England Patriots, who are on a tear, just defeated the New York Giants on Monday night. And the Chicago Bears, they are on a roll, 2 number 1 in the NFC and making an impact in the NFC North, just to highlight that. But what's sort of your biggest surprise here, Carlos?
I mean, it is Chicago being a 1 seed. We all kind of expected New England to be like a playoff team just because they got Vrabel in, but nobody expected them to be the number 1 seed. Granted, they have a pretty cupcake schedule given that they have a last place schedule. Jesus, that was hard to say. But I'm going to go Chicago because it didn't necessarily start off the best for Ben Johnson. Caleb Williams still was looking like, he was going to have a hard time. Nobody really expected them to necessarily turn it around this quickly, but they've just won games, and it's been kind of lucky. And even Chicago fans will tell you, hey, like, we don't actually think we're as good as our record says. But I mean, they went in and they beat Philadelphia on Black Friday in Philly. I mean, you can't necessarily say they're not for real at this point. Ben Johnson has really made his mark on the Chicago team. So I think Chicago's got to be the story here. Aside from that, I mean, then we can talk about the teams that aren't necessarily in the playoffs. We can talk about also Buffalo being the 7th seed right now. Given the fact that everybody was expecting them to, hopefully take that next step. And right now they're not even winning their division. And then, of course, we'll talk about them later. The Kansas City Chiefs not being in for now. And yeah, just the AFC is more wide open, in my opinion, than the NFC. The NFC will get interesting as it comes down the line, especially with Detroit and Dallas battling it out this on Thursday. But I think right now the eyes of the world are going to be on the AFC side than the NFC side. The NFC side is pretty much going to be set and locked.
I would agree there, because it seems like the NFC, some of the teams you would expect are making an impact in the playoff picture, minus the Bears, which we both alluded to was the biggest surprise. But the AFC, it's more wide open. The Patriots, the number 1 seed. The Broncos, they're on a big winning streak. The Jags in the 3 seed. It's just surprising the way Baltimore started off, and they have the 4 seed in the AFC. When it comes to the playoff picture, and just such a bad start for Baltimore, and they sort of clawed their way back to get up to the 4 seed, which I think is a testament to what they're trying to do. They're trying to get out of a hole, which I think they've done. Still some struggles over there, but
is it more so that they dug themselves out of a hole, or is it just because they have a terrible division that even though they were 1-5, they were still favored to win the division? To me, it's not necessarily that they have, really turned it around. They just lost to Cincinnati in Joe Burrow's first game back. What has happened is they have gotten kind of lucky with Pittsburgh being Pittsburgh and not really actually being as good as they were at the time that they were 1-5. We all knew that they were probably going to collapse because they're, Pittsburgh's banking everything on old quarterbacks, and still haven't found a guy to really, be their quarterback of the future. And they're just old and expensive. Cincinnati didn't have hasn't had Joe Burrow for most of the season. So of course they were not going to do that great. And then Cleveland just sucks. So it's like, is it really that Baltimore has really turned it around, or is it more so that just everything has, everything was just working to their favor in the division because the division is just not that good?
I would agree with you there, Carlos, but still, you have to win some games to get in that position. Because
but the games that they won were relatively easy. We all knew the back half of their schedule was going to be easy post bye week. We talked about it on this show. Now the hard part about it is now they're coming up on the end of their schedule where it does get heavier, where they still got 2 games against the Steelers. They still got a game against the Packers. They got another game against Cincinnati in Cincinnati. So things aren't going to be easy for them here on these last final games. Honestly, I do think that it might come down to their final game of the season against the Pittsburgh Steelers, where it's going to be a win and you're in situation. The only issue is that game is going to be in Pittsburgh, and Lamar sucks at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that is a good point. I agree with those thoughts there. Looking at the Colts for a minute, though, I mean, they started out very hot. Now they're sort of struggling a little bit here, dropping them to the 6th seed. And just the way the Colts have been shaky a little bit in my mind. You would like to think that a team like the Colts, with so much positivity at the start of the season, with just the shakiness, they maybe find a way to turn around. But what are your thoughts there?
Well, I mean, Indianapolis, for instance, the front end of their schedule was pretty light for the most part. I mean, you got wins, they beat Miami week 1. They get a steal of a win against Denver week 2. Then they got wins over Tennessee, the Raiders, the Cardinals. The Chargers was a legitimate victory. I mean, they played Tennessee twice, and then they lost to Pittsburgh. They barely beat Atlanta in Germany. And then, of course, they lose to Kansas City and to Houston. I mean, their back end of the schedule is a lot tougher than their front end. So they had a chance to bank some wins, but not getting that victory in Kansas City, and not getting that victory in Pittsburgh, and not getting the victory against Houston. Like, I think that's going to come back and haunt them, because now they still got 2 games against the Jaguars, 1 game against Seattle in Seattle.
Yeah,
you got San Francisco on a Monday night, and then you got to play Houston to end the season. It's not looking good for Indianapolis. And then on top of that, Daniel Jones has a fracture in his leg. We saw it. He's not as mobile as he was earlier in the season, and that's going to be a problem, because now you can just have pressure come at him, and when you bring pressure in, that's going to stifle Jonathan Taylor. And like you just saw, like, their offense is taking a hit because he's not as mobile anymore. So for me, I really think Indianapolis is at risk of not even making the playoffs, despite starting out the season super hot. And at one point they were the 1 seed. I think that they really might miss the playoffs.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. As I mentioned before, the NFC side, sort of some of the same teams. I really like what Los Angeles is doing. Despite the loss to Carolina, I still think Matthew Stafford and team, they're probably going to overcome that with a loss, because
I think that was more of just a trap game. I think,
yeah.
I mean, the weather wasn't great in Carolina. I don't know, just something about going to play in Carolina for some reason, just they get teams there. And, Bryce Young played phenomenal in that game, and Matthew Stafford did not. He threw those 2 interceptions. There was the fumble. It was just not a good showing for him, but I think they'll be fine. I'm not necessarily concerned. I don't think that showed that they're frauds or anything. It's just they got because it was just a trap game, in my opinion.
The Eagles, though, falling to the Bears, their offense just, I don't know what it is. The Eagles at the 3 right now, do you think they could drop even more? Because I feel like if it continues on the path that they are, they could drop to an even lower seed.
It really depends. I mean, they got the Chargers this week. But the Chargers are dealing with a lot of injuries, and it's unknown whether Herbert's going to play or not.
Oh yeah, I just saw that today too. That's pretty crazy.
It's uncertain if he's going to play or not, and it's a Monday night game, so like Herbert's got some time. It doesn't seem like it's necessarily like a crazy injury, and it's on his non-throwing hand, so he might be okay to play. We just don't know yet. They got a game against the Raiders. The Raiders aren't good. The Commanders, that one, I just don't know. It depends which Commanders team shows up. Did that team that played the Broncos on Sunday show up? They can beat the Eagles. But if it's like the prior, versions of the Commanders teams shows up, you guys aren't going to give them a chance. But then, they close out the season against Buffalo and then against the Commanders again. I don't know. It just depends, really. I couldn't tell you whether if they're going to drop another seed. I think right now they got a lot of pressure on them because Dallas is starting to surge. And Dallas will keep the pressure on them, but yeah, I don't know. Their offense, just isn't clicking the way it did last year. I think it shows how much Kellen Moore actually brought to the team. He was able to really scheme up because they haven't lost, the offensive line is still the same. They're dealing with some injuries on the offensive line, but this has been an issue all season long, and we've all been talking about it all season long. that the offense just isn't working the way it should be working. And they are an awful team to watch. Like, I hate watching the Eagles. I hate picking the Eagles. But at the same time, they seem to still it's much like Kansas City last year. They find a way to win. They didn't find a way to win against Chicago, but they are typically able to figure out at least how to get the win. But yeah, they need to get rid of Patullo. Like, he's just not good. He doesn't know how to scheme for Saquon Barkley or for any of this. But then also Jalen Hurts needs to play better too. Jalen Hurts has been playing terribly. And finally AJ Brown is like coming to life, but
they're not winning games.
They're not winning games, and they're still barely putting up points. So it's like, how do we go from Saquon having a 2,000-yard season and carrying this team to the Super Bowl essentially to now you can't even do the tush push correctly anymore?
Yeah, the Bears exposed the tush push. I forgot to mention that. But Carlos, it's getting so bad that Kevin Patullo's house got egged.
I mean,
the Philly fans do it hard, or they don't do it at all. They want success, or somebody's going to pay. Unfortunately, I don't condone that in any way, shape, or form. But still,
there's worse ways of hazing. I mean, in Texas, they'll put for sale signs for a high school football coach. Like, a little egging isn't going to hurt anybody, but it's like, kind of grow up. This is pro football. Like, who cares? Like, we got bigger things to worry about. But egging isn't the worst thing ever done to a coach's house.
Yeah. What are some teams in your mind in the hunt that you think could capture a playoff spot?
Well, we'll talk about them later.
All right, there we go.
But at least on the AFC side, I got to still root for my Chiefs. But on the NFC side, I would really like to see Dallas make it. I really would. They're a fun team. They're a fun team to watch right now. And it would just kind of be a disservice considering how great Dak is playing for him to not be in the playoffs.
I will agree with you. Sort of what I would like to see is Dallas jump Philly and win the division. That's just what I think.
It would be a little too tough for them to do that because given who Philly has left, so let's say Philly does beat the Chargers, they beat the Raiders. I don't know if they'll split the Commanders or not. What do you think?
Too tough to tell. It depends on if the Eagles fix their offensive issues and what Commanders team shows up. Personally, I would like for them just to drop both because it's better draft position, but
well, let's just say Philly.
Let's say they split in.
Well, no, let's just say Philly beats them both times.
Okay.
And then let's say they lose to Buffalo in Buffalo in week 17. So at that point they would be 12-5. Dallas wouldn't be able to jump them because Dallas is sitting at 6-5-1. So let's say Dallas wins out and they beat the Lions, they beat the Vikings, they beat the Chargers, they beat the Commanders, and they beat the Giants. They would be sitting at 11-5-1. So that tie against Green Bay has hurt them. What they would need either the Chargers to pull off the upset this week. They basically need Philly to go 3-2 coming down the stretch. They need Philly to either to just lose either to the Chargers or the Bills or lose to the Commanders and the Bills. They need Philly to lose 2 out of the next 5 games for them to, and then Dallas has to win out. If Dallas wins out, then they win the division. And if they get Philly to lose 2 games.
That'd be nuts if that happened, though.
I mean, in that case, I'm not entirely sure if that means Philly's entirely out of the playoffs, just because I didn't work the whole entire schedule. But that's the scenario for Dallas to definitely win the division, is for Philly to drop 2 of their next 5 games.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting on both sides as the season gets further and further. We're to the tail end, Carlos. We're in the month of December.
Yeah, we're the final month. We're the last 5 games. Like
I
the
cannot
season's
believe it.
flown.
That's crazy. I cannot believe how far we have gotten in this season. It just feels like it's flown by like the snap of a finger, to be honest.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes nowadays. Everything goes quickly. Time moves faster the older we get. The season goes faster too.
Yep, we're getting way too old. But that's a look at the playoff picture, my friend. Thank you for pulling that up. We have more football to talk about. The home team report. Dan's not here. The Ravens did fall to the Bengals on Thanksgiving, but we will not touch on that game. But we will discuss our teams and how they did in the home team report right here on episode 238 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Carlos Martinez, I'm Josh Kirby. We will be right back.
This holiday season, step into the magic of walking in a winter wonderland at Clearbrook Park. Presented by Finch Oral and Facial Surgery. Celebrate 25 years of sparkling tradition as you stroll a half-mile of beautifully illuminated pathways where twinkling lights dance to festive music and memories shine bright. Create new traditions, capture the wonder. Walking in a Winter Wonderland opens November 28th through January 1st. Order your tickets now at fcprd.net.
For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com.
And we're back, episode 238 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. For the Swiss Army knife, Carlos Martinez, I am Josh Kirby. So glad you're taking some time out of your day to listen to us. Let's get into the home team report, if you will, starting on Thanksgiving Day. The Kansas City Chiefs traveling to AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. The Dallas Cowboys with a 31-28 matchup over the Kansas City Chiefs. Carlos, the storyline here, my friend, is the team that you disowned defeated your current team of choice in this podcast. It's just funny how it works out that way.
Yeah, in another timeline, or 4 years ago, this was the Carlos Bowl, in which the Kansas City Chiefs won in a terrible game. I just remember it was an awful game. And at that point I was more invested in the Cowboys. So I was more frustrated with the Cowboys in that game than I was with, Kansas City not, playing well against Dallas, but still pulling out the victory. Yeah. This one was tough, man. It was very frustrating. It was just another thing of like, the coaching was just awful. The play calls were terrible. Defensively, I don't know what we were doing, but Pickens and CeeDee Lamb were just killing us left and right. Which the CeeDee Lamb dominating Trent McDuffie was, not what I did not have that on my bingo card. I was super excited for that matchup. I figured CeeDee would win a couple, but he embarrassed Trent McDuffie. And Trent McDuffie is one of the best corners in the league, and he struggled. Look, we can talk about officiating, but it's just the same conversation. It's super inconsistent. There were some very bad calls for both sides, but it did feel like a lot of the calls were going against the Chiefs in this game. And some of them were like, why? Like, we're really not going to let these guys play at all. It was ridiculous. I'm not blaming the loss on the officiating at all, but because at the end of the day, this Chiefs team, despite feeling like they're more talented, just might not be that good. And the record might just be, the thing is who's coming to save this team now? Like earlier in the season, it was Rashee Rice is out, Xavier Worthy's hurt. We just got to wait for these guys to come back, and, we'll get to finally see the Chiefs offense flourish. And then they came back. We went on a nice 3-game winning streak there. But since then, it's just looked terrible. And they keep saying, we're so close. But to me, it doesn't look like we're close at all. We're making such boneheaded mistakes. These penalties are killing us. This team has been super undisciplined this season. And, Andy Reid and Matt Nagy really got to figure out this offense, because I can't stand some of the play calls. I'm sick and tired of them in a 3rd-and-1 situation running out of the shotgun. Why do we keep running out? We've seen that never works. Get under center and hand it off to Kareem Hunt that way. But also, can we please add a QB sneak or something in this damn playbook? I understand Patrick Mahomes got hurt, a while ago in, I think it was on a Monday night game where he dislocated his kneecap, trying to do, a QB sneak. But that was a while ago. Patrick Mahomes is running, for his life sometimes and is trucking dudes. What are we doing? It's just, yeah. They have lost all margin of error here. They have to win out to make the playoffs. And even winning out, they have to pray that Jacksonville wins the division. Because then they would have the tiebreaker over the Colts and the Texans, because they have played the Texans on Sunday, and if they win out, they would, have it. They would have to have some hope to make it in. And this team, like I said, I think they have the talent, but it's just they haven't executed. And going 1-6 in one-score games is terrible, considering last year we were 12-0. So yeah, defensively, like I said, no pass rush to speak of unless we're blitzing. And then when we blitz, Dak took advantage of that. Dak is great, against the blitz. Obviously, we got the pick early to start the game because we surprised him with a blitz. But after that point, Dak was just incredible. And he was, dicing up this Chiefs defense. That one touchdown that he had to the running back, where at the last possible second, he throws it to him. That was a Mahomes-like play right there, where it was going completely wrong. He's scrambling around, and then he just finds the guy right there at the last second. Dak was impressive. Dak was impressive. But of course, I think the most impressive thing was George Pickens. I mean, Pickens was killing the Chiefs defense. I mean,
Oh, dude.
Watson couldn't figure him out at all. And yeah, I mean, look, you got to give credit to Jerry Jones. I mean, he put the team in this position, in the position that they were in by trading away Micah Parsons, but he was able to turn it around and get, Quinnen Williams and that linebacker, I can't remember his name right now, from Cincinnati, and they have made huge impacts. Now that Dallas defense still isn't good, but they were able to do some things, and it didn't hurt that there was a lot of injuries to the Kansas City Chiefs line. I mean, we already came into the game without Trey Smith at right guard. Juwan Taylor hurts his triceps somewhere in the first half, I think it was. So he comes out. We bring in Moore, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Simmons is missing on the left side, and I was like, "What happened?" Well, it turns out Kareem Hunt, went to go for a chip to help Simmons out with one of the pass rushers on Dallas, and accidentally crushed, Simmons's wrist, which was basically fractured, and he was out for the game relatively quickly. So then we had to put in Wanye, and Wanye Morris is terrible. So at that point, we're missing 3 of our starting 5. All the only guys left at that point were, Creed Humphrey and Sewell Mataia. And yeah, we're in deep trouble right now on the line. Right now, it's looking like Juwan Taylor's injury isn't going to be something long-term, but it looks like Simmons is going to be out for a while. So I think what you want to do is put Moore out to the left side where he was playing while Simmons took his break for a little bit, and then you're going to want to figure something out at right tackle. I don't know what you do at right tackle. Maybe you put Wanye there. Wanye is better on the right side than he is on the left side, but on the left side, he was just getting dominated. I mean, Sam Williams just completely obliterated him and got to Patrick Mahomes. And just again, the other thing is Patrick's got to figure out how to hit those deep balls. He missed a bunch of deep passes during this game, and we can't go 2 quarters without scoring points. And then also, again, just the cowardness of the coaching sometimes. I mean, there was that 4th and 1 play where they throw it to Wiley, his first catch of the season. He's been inactive all season. They trust him to make that play because Noah Gray is out. So they throw it to Wiley. He makes the play on 4th and 1. Then literally like a few plays later, they're punting it on 4th and 6 instead of going for it in Dallas territory. It's just I don't get the coaching. I don't understand the play calls. At the end of the day, even if Kansas City makes the playoffs, there's got to be some major changes. I don't mean get rid of Andy Reid. I don't think you get rid of Andy Reid. Anybody that's like saying that is just not a smart person, in my opinion, to say get rid of Andy Reid. I mean, it's not as if we haven't been to the AFC Championship, all these, years, at least to the AFC Championship. It's not like we didn't just win, 2 out of the last 3 Super Bowls. But I think one person that does have to go is Matt Nagy. I just don't think he's good at what Bieniemy was good at, which was, pushing back and, just holding guys accountable and stuff like that. But I also think we need a little more creative minds, a little more creative juices in this offensive scheme. And honestly, people's either want Bieniemy back or they want Kafka, who's the interim coach at the Giants right now. They want him back because Kafka was on our offensive staff for a few years there. But yeah, they got to make that change. I think you keep Spags because at the end of the day, Spags is great. I don't think Spags is going to go anywhere. But they also I think they got to blow up the roster a little bit. I think defense. I think they're putting too much money on some older guys. Obviously, this is Travis Kelce's last year on his contract. If he wants to come back, he would have to do a hometown discount, I think, because right now, like Kansas City's like disgustingly over the cap for next season. So they're obviously going to have to, they're going to restructure Mahomes' deal and stuff like that. But I think one of the big pieces is what do you do with Chris Jones? I mean, he's kind of come on here at the end, but he's not producing the same way, and you're not getting the production that you need out of the other guys around him to really justify keeping Chris Jones. So I don't know what you do there. Linebacker, I don't know if Drew Tranquil looks like he's at the end of his rope. There's just a lot of things that they got to figure out. Shamari Connor, do you keep Shamari Connor? I don't think Shamari Connor's really that good. He's played decent at safety, but anytime he's put at slot corner, he's terrible, and he just sucks at making tackles. So, yeah, there's a lot of issues going on with Kansas City, and yet I'm still believing that they're going to pull off this 5-game win streak and get into the playoffs. So, I don't know. What did you think?
Well, to be honest, Carlos, I thought from the very first drive, Dak throwing that interception, I'm like, here we go again. The Dallas Cowboys are going to make too many mistakes, but they really rebounded well. And I think just the way the Dallas Cowboys played, and I have to give my flowers to Dak Prescott in the Cowboys offense. George Pickens looked incredible. And Dak Prescott just doing what he does. I mean, it just seemed like all in all a good offensive performance. And I know you mentioned about the injuries to the Chiefs, but just to see Dallas from where they started to now, they've really made positive strides. And I feel like with Brian Schottenheimer as their head coach, he's really bringing that energy that other coaches didn't really have. Like Mike McCarthy, he didn't really bring that energy, if you get what I mean. And like after the game, he's screaming off a note card, CD with a touchdown, yeah, Dak with a touchdown, yeah, stuff like that, getting the team just together. And I feel like that this Dallas Cowboys team is starting to click together at this just the right time, because now they can make a push and potentially get into the playoffs. I'm not going to say for sure if that happens, but and defensively too, Dallas still needs some work. I'm not saying that their defense was perfect in this game. I mean, for crying out loud, Mahomes still had 4 touchdowns in the game. So looking there, the Chiefs, it's just one of those things. I think they just need some changes. It just seems like what they're doing is not really effective, not really working. And I feel like if they're not able to win out, they miss the playoffs, they take a step back, because this Chiefs franchise is a very good franchise. They know what success looks like, Carlos.
I mean, okay, so we do have to pause there because they know what success looks like recently, but it's not as if the Chiefs have always been successful. We know the Chiefs were a mediocre franchise until Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Yeah. Well, more so until Andy Reid showed up, because Andy Reid started then laying the foundations. They did some good stuff with Alex Smith, and then Patrick Mahomes came along and took it to the next level. So they've never been in this position. So we don't know if they're going to be able to do what, say, the Patriots did and were able to retool. I mean, the issue was the Patriots, with their dynasty, they were quick to get off of players. Like, they didn't care. They went mercilessly. The Kansas City, on the other hand, we want to keep our guys for the most part. Honestly, we should have moved off of Chris Jones a few years ago. Instead, we all knew he was approaching 30 and that his production was going to go down, but we all wanted to keep him because we wanted to see the three-peat through. The three-peat didn't happen, and now we're in a position where we have a bunch of old guys who have been here this whole entire time, but are starting to show their age. Again, I can't necessarily say Travis quietly has had a great season. And he's on pace to have a 1,000-yard season. I mean, he looks definitely much better than he did last year. But yeah, like Chris Jones, he doesn't make the same impact plays anymore. And granted, again, that could be because he's the only guy who can make a play on that defense. I mean, George Karlaftis, I mean, did he even show up to that game? On Thanksgiving, I didn't hear anything from him. Gelati, they talked about him a little bit, but he's not impressive. It's just there's a lot. Kansas City needs to hope and pray that they can retool the way New England did. Remember, New England went 10 years between Super Bowl victories, but during that time they were still relevant. And it was because they were constantly able to retool and to, kind of adapt to where the league was going. I'm concerned that Kansas City might not be able to do that because of the positions they put themselves in with certain contracts right now. I mean, and because of the diminished value. Chris Jones a couple years ago, you could have gotten him for some decent picks. And in a sense, it might be the best thing for Kansas City to miss the playoffs because they would then get a pretty decent draft pick. They don't have that many draft picks this year. They only have 6 draft picks, I believe. And with that being said, like, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to get a top 15 pick because then you can get yourself maybe a decent pass rusher because I think offensively they're fine. They need a running back, yes, but I think they have the right group of guys on the O-line. You obviously have Patrick Mahomes. Rashee Rice is good. Xavier Worthy, maybe we can see what he's going to be like healthy. I mean, he's looked rough, but we know he's dealing with that ankle injury still. And of course he still has the bum shoulder and that he's not going to get fixed until after the season. Hollywood Brown is okay. Tyquan Thornton, when you give him an opportunity, he'll make a play. So I think offensively they're fine. I think their issues mainly stem from the defense and from the front four not being able to get any pressure on the quarterback. And the only way they get pressure is by blitzing. But when you blitz, you're obviously leaving a lot of holes. And a team like Dallas, who's great, whose Pickens' specialty is those slant routes. And when you got a great receiver like CeeDee Lamb, they're going to carve you up left and right like that. So Dallas needs to retool. Not Dallas, I'm sorry. Kansas City needs to retool. And I just don't know if they'll be able to, if they're constantly succeeding the way that they are. But at the same time, obviously, like, I don't want us to go into the playoffs and not have Kansas City in there.
Yeah, I like the points you brought up there. And what I was trying to say is with the success that this Chiefs team has had in recent years, maybe this is a good thing for them to have a year where they miss the playoffs. That way they can take a step back and be like, hey, what do we need to do differently to get back to the big dance, to the Super Bowl, and continue doing what we were doing so well? That's just me. That could be a very bad take in your mind, Carlos, but I mean, that's
really disagree with the take. It's like, what are we talking about here?
What do you mean?
We literally just said the same thing, essentially.
Yeah.
So I'm not disagreeing with the take. I'm agreeing with the take.
Good. Yeah.
But I mean, to me, it's just, look, all good things must come to an end at some point. Like I said, the Patriots dynasty, it's 2 different dynasties, essentially. There was the first half, which was run by the defense. The reason why Tom Brady was a game manager in those first 3 Super Bowls. And then it shifted to Tom Brady being the guy in the next 3 Super Bowls, aside from the very last one, because that was a defensive battle between the Rams and the Patriots in that one. But yeah, I mean, Kansas City is going to have to figure it out, man. And I think, if anybody can, I hope it's them. But they got to really, really, really make some moves this offseason and make big changes because this isn't sustainable anymore. And
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it was just very frustrating performance. Very, very frustrating. It's been a frustrating season, 6-6. Like, to me, it still feels like the season hasn't necessarily even started because we haven't gotten going yet. And it's like, dude, like we have 5 games left. Like we have to go now.
Yeah.
Like there's no more trying to figure it out. You guys should have already had it figured out.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, I think you pretty much touched it all, to be honest, just about their struggles and just the stuff they're not doing well. But one more thing I wanted to add on with Andy Reid, he's a future Hall of Fame head coach. He will know what to do to get this team back, in my mind.
But that you can't, I don't think you can say that because a lot of, there's a lot of talk between Chiefs and Philadelphia fans about what was it like at the end of Andy Reid's tenure at Philadelphia. They were like, it's a lot like what you're seeing right now. Andy Reid is super loyal to his guys, and it's to his detriment sometimes. And right now he's just got a bunch of yes men around him who don't push back the way a Bieniemy pushed back, the way, some other guys push back. Those guys aren't in the building right now. And that's why, and at that point, he had a lot of roster control in Philly. So he got the type of players that he wanted, but he struggled to adapt to where the game was at that point. Then he obviously got fired. Then he came to Kansas City. And in his time in Kansas City, he retooled and finally figured out, hey, I got to change. We don't know he's going to be able to do that because he didn't do it in Philly. So I don't know if he can do it here in Kansas City. We'll find out. This is his opportunity to, but you can't bank on it the way you could have banked on like prime Bill Belichick being able to do it because, prime Bill Belichick would just change it up every game.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree there. But I mean, other than that, I think you pretty much touched on it all, Carlos, in terms of what they were struggling with. And again, the Dallas Cowboys, they're on a roll, and I would expect the hot streak to keep up with their offense. It's just the defense for Dallas is still my concern. So with that, we will move on. We're going to take a break, but on the Thanksgiving slate, once again, the Kansas City Chiefs the Dallas Cowboys defeating the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm getting mixed up there. The Dallas Cowboys defeating the Kansas City Chiefs on Thanksgiving Day. We take a quick break and we talk about another matchup that goes to overtime on Sunday Night Football. We will be right back.
Hey there, Kirby on Sports Podcast fans. Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate here for you. Remember, if you have any real estate needs, buying or selling, I'm your guy. I would love to help you out. And you can also find me on my own personal podcast, Iconic Talk, where you get a chance to learn about the local real estate market and why Winchester is an amazing place to live. Reach out to me anytime, 540-247-1527, and find Iconic Talk anywhere you get your podcasts.
You may have heard the saying, it's not if your home will get termites, it's when. At Barrett Pest and Termite Services, we're doing our best to refute that saying one home at a time. Our thorough inspections and treatments are designed to keep your home or business termite-free. Termites cause $5 billion in damages every year. A preemptive inspection is one of the best ways to keep that from happening to you. Because once you see evidence of termites with the naked eye, you can be sure they've already been at work for some time. Put a stop to termites and the damage they do by calling Barrett Pest and Termite Services 540-340-3922. Barrett Pest and Termite Services 540-340-3922.
It's Jason, General Manager at Shenandoah Music, here to tell you all about...
Jay, what are you doing here?
Well, Matt, I'm trying to tell the people about our selection of guitars, basses, keyboards, drum sets.
I know that, but I always do the radio spots.
You get to have all the fun. I want to tell everyone about our huge selection, unbeatable prices, unmatched service, and in-depth knowledge.
Jay, I really don't think now is the time to discuss.
So remember, folks, when you think music, think Shenandoah Music in Winchester.
That's my line.
We are back in business, episode 238 of the Kirby on Sports podcast for Carlos Martinez. I am Josh Kirby. Let's get into the next matchup that we will be discussing, the Sunday night duel between the Commanders and Broncos, which the Denver Broncos win 27-26. Did you watch any of this first and foremost, Carlos?
I only watched the end.
I mean, that was just a Commanders way to win.
Because I truly thought, I was like, this game isn't going to be good. I'm not even going to waste time with it. And then, like, I just went about my Sunday night. I was playing video games, just relaxing, getting ready for the craziness of, post Thanksgiving. And then I got to my room to go to bed, and it was like 11:30, and I was like, what was the score of that game? And then I saw it was in overtime, and I was like, what? And so I turned the game on, and I was like, oh, okay, what happened here? Yeah, your boys played a game. They played a game.
I mean, it's a Commander's way to lose, but at the same time, I know in your mind, Carlos, there shouldn't be ties in the NFL in the position that the Commanders were in, going for 2 in overtime. I agree with the call. I think their backs are against the wall. They're a 3-8 football team.
I didn't like the 2-point conversion call. I love the call. And they had the play. They had it there. It had Mariota just I'm traumatized by that. Chris Collinsworth, just shut up, man. Just shut up. God, that was so annoying. But yeah, if he would have just, lobbed the ball up a little bit higher and gotten it over the defender, I mean, the play was there. Like your guys' running back was wide open. That would have been good, and you guys would have won. And that's why you saw Mariota's reaction, because like he knew, he was like, oh my God, I had it. Like it was right there. Yeah. Tough loss. But I agree with the call as well. I thought going for 2 was correct. That Denver defense was exhausted. Mm-hmm. So like take advantage while you can. And besides, there was only 3 minutes left in overtime. Do you really want to tie? Like, no, go for the win.
Well, I mean,
honestly, that's what overtime should be. Overtime should be 2-point conversions.
Yeah.
As it is.
But this game for me, I thought it'd be a blowout. It was closer than I expected.
A lot closer.
I mean, at this point, Carlos, at the beginning of the season, I had a lot of gripes, complaints, but I'm just kicking back and watching this team. That's pretty much it. And if people listening are like, oh, that's not the case, trust me, I was relaxed, laid back, just watching the football game. It's like, they're probably not going to make the playoffs, and you just look and see what they're doing, what they need to fix. It's the oldest team in the league, the most injured team in the league. But I will say that I think there is a difference in a Dan Quinn called defense. I mean, Bobby Wagner had an interception. Players were tackling. It wasn't the best defense, but at times they looked pretty good. Offensively, you can see a complete difference when Terry McLaurin's on the field, because no matter what, he's making plays. Terry McLaurin just looks good in general. He takes time off with an injury. Once he's back, he lets you know he's back. Had that touchdown catch. Deebo Samuel gets in the mix too, so the receiving core was there. The running back situation I liked. I know Chris Rodriguez and McNichols got a bulk of the carries. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, not so much. If I'm looking at the stats here, Rodriguez had 41 yards, McNichols with 30. Mariota was able to rush the ball effectively at times too. So, I honestly thought with the way Denver in their season was going, they'd have an easy game against the Commanders. But this Denver Broncos team, for the record they're at, they're fighting hard to get these wins. And
they're not good. They're just not a good, and that's what pisses me off so much more. They're not good. Bo Nix is not good, and yet Kansas City lost to them. And it makes me so mad because I'm like, dude, we are better than this Broncos team. And I can't stand Denver. I can't stand the donkeys. Like, they just piss me off. They have the horseshoe up their butts right now, man. It's terrible.
I will say from the last time the Commanders were on Sunday night against the Seahawks, they improved and they took Denver to the wire essentially. And I'll give them credit for that. It's gonna be really interesting. I'm looking ahead here. It's gonna be very interesting to see how this Commanders Vikings game goes next week after watching what Minnesota did.
God. Well, we'll see if I'm sorry, not JJ McCarthy. His alter ego 9. Let's see if 9 shows up or not to this game. But I think the interesting question is going to be, is Jaden Daniels coming back? Me personally, I don't think you should play him at all. This season's done. Like, you guys are already eliminated. There's no point for him to play anymore.
JD will come back.
Yeah, keep him protected and keep him out. But it seems like he really wants to play.
I agree 100% with your sentiments, but Jaden Daniels is that competitor that he will get back on the football field. And apparently his mom was spotted in the stands on a video saying, oh, he'll be back next week. Just rest him. Come on, make the smart damn choice. This should be a competent enough franchise to know you don't want to lose your prime investment that you drafted. And this team, Jaden Daniels and the Commanders last year, making it to the NFC Championship game. That storybooks season, they exceeded expectations. This year, not so much. Why even risk it at this point?
So that's what I'm saying.
Mariota's doing a fine job as a serviceable backup. I think he got some touch on the passes. That first interception.
I think he gave you everything he had in this game. I don't think Mariota's is great. I don't think he's, I think he's, definitely on the other side of the hill football wise. Again, at this point, you guys are 3-8, correct?
3-9.
3-9 now. Like, you guys are already eliminated from the playoffs. Like, there's just, the season's done. So it's like, just finish out the season with Mariota, and then, don't risk. You already risked him once this season, and he broke his arm because of it. And honestly, it's a miracle that it wasn't worse than what it was, right? Because that was a nasty injury.
Yeah.
But you don't want to risk him hurting himself any other way. Like, there's just no point. Like, again, the season is over. Like, just sit him. Like, tell it's done. Like, you're done. We're gonna get back at it next season. We don't want to risk you.
So here's the nugget. Quarterbacks coach Tavita Pritchard coached in his last game because he just took the job at Stanford. I wonder how that's going to play a factor, because I know former Lions quarterback David Blau is
at all.
What's that?
I don't think it plays a factor at all. Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? How it plays a factor in what exactly?
Just in terms of how players on the in the quarterback room are coached and stuff like that.
No, I don't think it's. Look, Cliff Kingsbury's the offensive coordinator. He's the main guy. Losing a quarterback's coach is not that serious. Yeah. Again, we lost going back to Kansas City. Kafka was our quarterback's coach for a while there, and now he's the interim coach. But Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. At the end of the day, the guy that really matters is going to be, the person who's in charge of the offense, because they're going to be working closely with the quarterback more so than a quarterback coach is going to be working with them.
Yeah. Just a nugget I had there, but Tavita Pritchard will be taking the job at Stanford. So that, but other than that, it was an entertaining game to watch. I just sat back and relaxed and watched. I liked what McLaurin and Deebo Samuel were able to do. Some of the play calls on the later downs, I'm like, man, that Zach Ertz, here's the storyline, that Zach Ertz almost catch, that I think it was in the fourth quarter, I believe, before overtime. And I'm forgetting his name, but the Broncos player who got diagnosed with cancer, he punched that ball right out. So I'm not sure if you saw that play, but I thought that was a really cool storyline.
I know I saw it. I know I saw Ertz drop one, but I can't remember if it. But that one was Ertz just dropping it, not that it was punched out.
Yeah, but he had it in the Broncos defender. He the NFL actually said, hey, you need to come in for a drug test, and noticed cancer pretty early that he was able to get taken care of and back on the field. So that I thought that was pretty cool. But I mean, some good plays. Zach Ertz definitely is a competitor doing what he does. But I mean, what more can you ask for? You have a team that's fighting still, even though the season's probably done. You won't make the playoffs, but a lot of fight from this Commanders team, a lot more fight than I thought in this game. So, just now, how do you play out the rest of the season? Maybe a lost season, but
play spoiler to the Eagles.
Yeah.
Try to play spoiler. That's all you can do. And also, some of these guys, obviously aren't going to be back on the team, so they're going to want to, put some good film on and show that they care. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, but pretty much it was just a good game. The call for 2 we agree with, and they unfortunately weren't able to do. I mean, Nick Bonito there. That gets to show you the Denver defense, because I have a lot of respect the last couple of weeks seeing what the Denver defense has been able to do. And Nick Bonito, he's really good athlete from what I've seen recently. But, again, like you said, Carlos, Denver in their record doesn't indicate how hard they're fighting in these games. It's just one of those things I don't really understand. They have such a great record. They're the number 2 seed in the AFC right now. And I mean, like you said, Bo Nix, you said he wasn't the best. So
I really don't think Bo Nix is that good. I don't think Denver is that good. I really don't. I think they have a good defense. I think they have some good weapons, but they just find a way to win. And that's the annoying thing about it. And I'm just like, dude, this team really isn't that good. They're not, but they're figuring it out. And I guess that's all that matters.
That indeed. So the Commanders falling to the Denver Broncos on Sunday Night Football. That wraps up the home team report. Coming up next, the best segment on this Good to Average podcast, the Kirby on Sports PickEm, with some developments along the way. We'll take a quick break. For Carlos, I'm Josh.
I wasn't ready.
Okay.
No, it's just sorry, derailed that.
For Carlos, I'm Josh. We will be right back.
The Cider House is now open on East Piccadilly Street in downtown Winchester. The Cider House is open starting at noon Wednesday to Sunday. Stop in for a wide variety of ciders on draft, as well as 4 Virginia beers, wine, and ready-to-drink canned cocktails. Don't miss our lunch specials featuring our house salad. We also have dinner specials too. Stop in today at the Cider House, located on Piccadilly Street in downtown Winchester.
Are you looking to take the final steps in order to get your driver's license? Look no further. On the Road Driving School offers teen and adult driving, along with classroom sessions for teens and adults, DMV re-exam classes, and driver improvement classes. On the Road Driving School has what you need in order to get on the road. Contact them today at 540-869-6105. That's On the Road Driving School. 540-869-6105. On the Road Driving School will get you on the road.
We welcome you back to the Kirby on Sports podcast. Got to shout out New Look Landscaping. Make sure you contact New Look Landscaping, 247-1244, 540-247-1244. With the winter season approaching, you might need some snow removed. Make sure you give our friends at New Look Landscaping a call. And for all your equipment rental needs, Barry Pearson with Equipment Share Advanced Solutions at 540-935-10 1069. Episode 238 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. For Carlos, I'm Josh. It's time for the best segment on this good to average podcast. Carlos, some developments this week in the Kirby on Sports PickEm. I will let you take it away.
Yeah, you're real proud of yourself. That's why you want me to talk about it. But you know what? It's okay. It's fine. It's okay. Okay, just got to make sure I had that pulled up. All right. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kirby on Sports NFL Pick'ems for Week 14. A lot of developments did happen. Yes, indeed. Man, Kirby, what a week you had. As you can see, Kirby is no longer in last place. Despite being 5 games behind me, he closed the gap by 3. The 3 picks that he made that were different paid off for him. Despite Kirby didn't believe. Don't let this man fool you. He didn't believe in himself. When I set the graphic into Kirby to post, I mean, the group chat was doom and gloom. It was, oh, it's over. Oh, this is a wrap. Oh, I suck at picking. And then what does Kirby do? He goes and has a 4-2 week, while me and Dan go 1-5. This was by far my worst week of picking that I think I've ever had on this show. To go 1-5 is crazy work. So, the standings as they are, I am allegedly in first place at 48-29. Kirby's allegedly in second place at 46-31. And Dan has completely collapsed and fallen into last, allegedly. Well, actually, no, this isn't allegedly. He has fallen to last place at 44-33. So, with all that being said, the games we will be picking this week. I mean, this week 14 slate is a really good one. I mean, there were some games that I wanted to put on here, but I couldn't because we can only pick 6 games. We still have to figure out if we're going to do a 7th game for people, to try to shore up our records, and even it out, considering we had the tie earlier. But anyways, yeah, this slate of games is pretty dope. So the games we'll be picking this week are Detroit against Dallas, Green Bay against Chicago, Baltimore against Pittsburgh, the Chargers against Philadelphia, the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Indianapolis Colts, and the Kansas City Chiefs against the Houston Texans. I will go first, as always, as your three-time Pick'ems champion. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys over the Detroit Lions. I think right now Dallas's offense is going in the right direction. I think Dallas as a team is going in the right direction. And I think Detroit is really struggling right now. I think they're starting to finally see the effects of losing your 2 great play callers, because you see what Ben Johnson's doing in Chicago, and the struggles that, Detroit is still playing, decent enough, but they are struggling with, winning games essentially. And right now they're behind the 8 ball. This is essentially a playoff matchup here. I think this could technically be an eliminator match, because if Dallas loses, then there's really no chance that they win the division. And then they got to hope that some other teams collapse. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys over the Lions. I'm going to go with the Packers over Chicago. Given that this game is in Green Bay, I think that just the Packers are a better team than the Bears. And I think that they'll show it here against, Chicago, who has gotten pretty lucky in some of their wins, despite beating Philly. But I think Green Bay is starting to figure it out. I'll take the Ravens over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is terrible. And even though Baltimore hasn't been much better, honestly, Lamar Jackson needs to really step up and play a lot better. I think I'll go Baltimore. I'll take the Eagles over the Chargers, just with the Chargers injuries and stuff like that. I'll take Philly. I'm going to take Jacksonville over Indianapolis in Jacksonville. Indianapolis, boys. Indianapolis has not won in Jacksonville since President Obama was in office. Like,
Wow. I didn't know that.
have happened since then. Like, Jacksonville just always beats Indianapolis. I mean, the season where Jacksonville won one game, the one game they won was against Indianapolis, and then they went on to lose every game there on out. They just know how to beat Indianapolis and Jacksonville. So give me Jacksonville over Indianapolis. And again, I think Jacksonville is playing okay. And I think Indianapolis is really struggling with injuries and such. And then, of course, I'm contractually obligated to take the Kansas City Chiefs. That's going to be a tough matchup, especially against that Houston defense. So, yeah. I'll go ahead and go over Dan's picks real quick. Dan is going to take the Cowboys. He's the only one taking the Bears for some reason. I wish we could have heard his explanation for that. I think right now he's trying to cover, for his horrible week. So he's trying to push right now. He's going to take the Ravens because he's contractually obligated. He's taking the Chargers for some odd reason. He's taking the Chargers, but who knows? With the way Philly's playing, it could work out for him. He's taking the Colts, and he's taking the Chiefs. That's not the best sign when Dan takes the Chiefs, because normally when he takes the Chiefs lose. So they might lose again. So with all that being said, I really can't clown him that much this week. So we're just going to send it to the founder, host, and CEO of the Kirby on Sports podcast, Josh Kirby.
Thank you very much, Carlos. I think the Cowboys have more momentum than the Lions. No doubt this is going to be a good game, but I think the Cowboys have the upper hand. I agree with you, Carlos. I think the Packers are a better team than the Bears at this current moment. So I'm picking the Packers. I got to stick with the Packers. I think the Ravens over the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers kind of banged up. They didn't look the best against the Bills. I'm sticking with the Ravens. I'll take the Philadelphia Eagles. Chargers, not certain about Justin Herbert, obviously, so I'm picking the Eagles. I think they can easily take care of a Chargers team, especially if Justin Herbert is not playing. This next game, in my mind, I think is a toss-up between the Colts and the Jags. The Colts didn't play the best against the Texans, but they were still able to make some things happen, which, again, this one was a toss-up, but I'm picking the Indianapolis Colts. And I'm not completely sold on Houston and a matchup against this like Kansas City, so I am sticking with Kansas City. So those are my picks for the Week 14 Kirby on Sports PickEm.
All right. Well, some history to show you guys how inconsistent this season has been, because I think the one consistent thing about this NFL season is how inconsistent it is. So last year, going into Week 14, I was in first place, Dan was in second place, and Kirby was in third place. Surprise, surprise. What else is new? That's the order of things always, usually. But if you want to really see how far we are, like how up and down this league is, last year at this point, I was 56-22. An 8-game difference for, I guess more of a 9-game difference because we're missing a game because we didn't count the tie. So basically a 9-game swing. So last year I would have been 9 games up on myself this year. Dan was at 54-24. So basically 11 games, just an 11-game swing, essentially. And then Kirby was at 52-26. So for him, it was only a 7-game swing. So for you, Kirby, you still have the lowest game swing. But it just shows how inconsistent this, the league has been this year. But there's a reason why I said allegedly at the beginning when I was revealing the standings. And that is because my secret picker is actually in first place at 49-28. They went 4-2 as well on the pick'ems, and they are currently in first place in actuality.
Wow.
So, Kirby, for you, Good on you. You got out of last place for now. We still have 5 weeks. Well, we have more than 5 weeks to go.
Here's my issue, though. Carlos, it's obvious if I fail, have a bad week, you berate me and make fun of me.
Good.
I'm in another pickup.
As we should. Kirby, you got to understand, doing that is to motivate you to finally, you don't even have to win this year. Finish in second, finish in third, since we technically have 4 people in this pick'ems this year. Just don't finish in last, bro. No. You can't keep finishing in last.
Here's my thing. In my other pick'em league, which I've told you about off camera, I was getting absolutely blasted because I picked the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Lions.
Yeah, well, that's your fault. You didn't stand by your picks.
I know.
Stand by your picks, my guy.
I know.
You picked correctly in ours. You hit. Well, the only one you didn't hit is the Ravens, but you hit big time on Thanksgiving.
Terrible.
You hit big time on Thanksgiving, like you did, and like I give you props because, like, dude, had it not been for the Bills, me and Dan were gonna go 0-6. Like, we were in trouble. But you made the correct picks. You picked the underdogs. But then for some reason in your other league, you decided not to. You got scared. It's fine. But yeah, look, your goal this season isn't necessarily to win it. It's just don't finish in last.
I'm hoping I think I made some pretty smart picks and just going with the flow. We're gonna take it 1 week at a time and see how it goes.
Well, hold on. Let me pull this up again. So, essentially, there will be no you overtaking me because we only have one game that's different, which is Colts-Jags. So, you can maybe get one game closer. But aside from that, we have all the same picks.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the secret picker, I know their picks. I don't have them written down. They made their picks today.
So how'd this transpire? You just said, hey, you want to just pick with us?
This person picked with us last year, but wasn't officially part of the pick'ems. And they did pretty decent.
Wow. Okay.
So this year, we decided to do this in secret. I was like, all right, this year, I'm going to technically count you, and eventually I'll reveal it to the boys. Because, look, at the end of the day, Kirby, if I win this, and they are a part of it, so if they win, they get the title, and they will be coming on the show during the Super Bowl halftime, or the Super Bowl pregame show to reveal who they are, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you right now, you don't know who they are. You've never met this person, okay? But you're going to meet them, and they're going to be big, okay? But essentially, if I win the pick'ems, this is their tryout, basically. If I win the pick'ems for a 4th year in a row and I'm forced to retire because that was our deal, 4 years, 4 wins, retirement, they will be replacing me in the pick'ems. They will be on the graphic. You will be picking against them. Obviously, I'll still be on the show, but the pick'ems won't revolve around me anymore. And one of you will get the title and will be a paper champion because everybody knows the real champ is me. Okay, nobody ever beat me. Nobody ever dethroned me. But anyways, so we will meet this. You will eventually meet this person.
All right.
And just know, guys, you guys are losing. We're all losing. I'm losing too. We're losing to a person who doesn't even watch football. Didn't even know who won. I have to tell them who wins.
All right.
So.
Well, very, very interesting stuff. But that's the Kirby on Sports PickEm, which leaves us to the saddest point, the ending of episode 238 of the Kirby on Sports podcast. Again, a huge thanks to our sponsors, Frederick County Parks and Rec, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate, Barrett, Pest and Termite Services, Mark Lynch with Guild Mortgage, Shenandoah Music, Icon Media, On the Road Driving School, New Look Landscaping, The Cider House, Barry Pearson with Equipment Share Advanced Solutions at 540 935-1069. And the official energy drink of the Kirby on Sports podcast, Don't Sleep Energy. Use promo code KOS Podcast for 12% off your order every single time. My friend, glad to be back with you after our week off to the holiday season. Let's have some fun on the last month of the regular season when it comes to the NFL.
Yeah.
There we go.
Super excited. Sorry, not locked in.
No big deal. But yeah, with that, make sure you find us on all social media platforms, all streaming platforms, www.kirbyonsports.com. Thanks so much for spending some time with us here on episode 238, and we will catch you next time. Have a great rest of your day.